I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
If you actually believe the mainstream media, you would think that Kamala Harris being chosen as the candidate for the Democrat Party was the best thing ever. She's all of a sudden jumping in the polls, gaining in popularity. There's energy. And of course, the GOP is afraid. However, of course, none of this is actually true when you look at the numbers. And we're going to see that today. But before we jump into the video, please like and comment so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
All of the excitement that Democrats have over Kamala Harris, it is going to be difficult to beat Donald Trump, and I want to give you an understanding of why. Let's take a look here just first at the favorable views of Donald Trump. We know that Donald Trump has historically been unpopular, but take a look now. After the Republican National Convention, in the ABC News Ipsos poll, he recorded his highest ever favorable rating at 40%. That's not a one-off. Take a look at the Quinnipiac University poll, 46%. That's the highest ever in that pollster. The fact is, Donald Trump is more popular now than he ever has been before. So yes, Democrats can make this switcheroo, but they're still going to have to beat Donald Trump, a Donald Trump who is stronger, Sarah, than he has ever been before.
It will be interesting to see how voters respond to all of this. Now, how is he doing relative to Harris, who did run at one point? What do those numbers look like?
Yeah, so let's take a look here, right? We've been focusing so much on how Harris was doing better than Biden in the polling, and that's true. If we take a look at the national average, what do we see? We see Donald Trump up by 1. That's a within the margin race, right? That's a close race. But remember, of course, in the national popular vote, Democrats tend to do better there than they've done in the Electoral College, at least when Donald Trump has been running for president. So last time around, when Joe Biden barely won in the Electoral College, he actually won the national popular vote by 4 points. So at this point, Donald Trump is running 5 points better. That's a 5 of some sort. 5 points better than he was 4 years ago against Joe Biden. So at this particular point, whether you look at the favorable ratings, whether you look at the horse race polling, we see that Donald Trump is doing significantly better than he was doing 4 years ago at this point. Kamala Harris is going to have to do better than this, of course, if she wants to win the popular vote, but more than that if she wants to win the Electoral College, where she'll likely have to outperform how she's done nationally, because the fact is, if you got to tie it in the national popular vote, that is probably not good enough if you're Kamala Harris and you want to win the election against Donald Trump.
And of course, don't forget, historically, Republicans always poll lower in the national polls than what they actually do. So seeing Donald Trump in this +1 state is not bad news. However, depending on what poll you look at, that +1 turns into plus a whole lot more. If we check this out over here, we have an aggregate of polls coming out. Now, this is the one the left loves to tout, this Reuters Ipsos poll. Kamala Harris comes out and look, she's leading Donald Trump 44-42. However, if you look at Forbes Harris poll, Donald Trump is beating her by 9 points. If you look at Quinnipiac, Donald Trump is beating her by 4 points. If you look at the Morning Consult, Donald Trump is beating her by 2 points. And all of these are since Joe Biden has dropped out and Kamala Harris has become the main candidate. Okay, so this +1 they're touting about on NBC could be a whole lot worse if you look at Forbes and Quinnipiac, etc. Okay, so by replacing Joe Biden with Kamala Harris, you aren't getting anything new. It's the same old policies. Plus, she's incredibly unlikable, just like Joe Biden was. And we can see that demonstrated in this segment.
Well, Andrea, I'm definitely picking up on a pattern as I've been having conversations here with dozens and dozens of voters. For those who were likely to support the Democratic nominee already, there's a boost of enthusiasm, excitement. They talk about having someone who could lay out that case against Donald Trump in a more effective way. But for those who are in the middle, the so-called double haters that we talked about, or those more moderate voters, there's clearly some more work to be done for the vice president. Just listen to a sample of my conversations here.
I have much more confidence, for sure. Things were looking a little grim.
Exciting, being a woman, having another woman candidate, you know, energizing, exciting, and obviously women's rights are at stake in this election.
We need better options, personally. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden. I'm not a fan of Harris.
I'm going to vote for any candidate that's not Trump, personally. I just can't get behind some of the things he says or does. Do I support Kamala Harris, though? Absolutely not.
That last gentleman I found really interesting because a week ago, I said if we were to have this conversation a week ago, he said he would have been supporting President Biden in his re-election effort. He said at least he was leaning that way. Those last two folks said that they were also considering RFK Jr. as they make their evaluation. One thing that both of them mentioned is they'll be watching who the vice president chooses to be her vice presidential nominee. That could weigh into the factor in their evaluation as they're ultimately making this decision, Andrea.
So this is the Democrat base. Some of them are happy to get rid of that old millstone Joe Biden. However, others are like, Harris is not a great option. I'm not going to be voting for her. And of course, how can you blame them when no one actually voted in a primary for her in the first place? More on that in a little bit. But of course, this is all very interesting because in yesterday's video, I mentioned that what is the left going to resort to? What are the Democrats going to do? They're going to say that any criticism against Kamala Harris is a racist dog whistle. Check this out.
Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys.
Congressman, your response to that?
I mean, what a bizarre clip. I have a lot to say about that clip. It feels like a Saturday Night Live skit with the joke about a Mountain Dew being racist and then the one distant clap. The guy's got no juice, and so we'll see how he does on the campaign trail. He's not even exciting his own voters. The other thing I'd say is that he is going to continue to use all these racist dog whistles throughout the campaign. We're going to see it from Trump, we're going to see it from J.D. Vance, and we're going to see it from a lot of their surrogates. In fact, just yesterday, one of the surrogates was saying, if we don't win, we're going to have a civil war to get our agenda through. A civil war. And so this is an organization, this is a right-wing campaign that's going to be racist, misogynistic against the vice president, but we're going to stand on the issues and what really matters. It's the fact that she is qualified. They want to call her a DEI president or DEI candidate. She has more experience than Trump and J.D. Vance combined times a million, right? She worked at the state level. She was the attorney general. She's vice president of the United States. She was a senator representing one of the largest states in the entire country. And so these are just racist dog whistles. Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
So they're trying the same playbook for Kamala Harris as they did for Barack Obama. Any criticism of his actions or his policies was automatically racist, right? You were a terrible person if you opposed his agenda. Of course, now here's the problem. No one cares anymore. People are out in the open, specifically elected officials, saying, yeah, everything is racist now. The Democrats have turned everything into a racial issue, and therefore it has lost its power. The right is no longer afraid to say, you know what, screw you. Okay, you calling us racist doesn't matter anymore because we know we're not. The people know we're not. And that's all that really matters. So someone like this is out there just wailing in the wind, but no one's going to listen to him. And of course, everything's a dog whistle, including the term DEI, which of course Kamala Harris actually is because Joe Biden said he wanted a black woman to be his vice president, and he picked Kamala, the worst possible choice, but the best for Republicans. But of course, when you hear that term DEI, you have to think of the N-word. So yes, it has completely lost its power. It's not going to have the same effect today as it did all the way back in 2012. Okay, nobody cares about that garbage anymore. So wake up from that. Of course, what's even more impressive is the simple fact that Kamala Harris has just replaced Joe Biden without any democratic process whatsoever. Okay, but let's hear this pointed out by Chuck Schumer.
Since President Biden's announcement, we've seen the Democratic Party swiftly coalesce behind Vice President Kamala Harris. When I spoke with her Sunday, she said she wanted the opportunity to win the nomination on her own and to do so from the grassroots up, not top down. We deeply respected that, Hakeem and I did. She said she would work to earn the support of our party, and boy, has she done so in quick order. Vice President Harris has done a truly impressive job securing the majority of delegates needed to win the Democratic Party's nomination to be our next president of the United States. the vast majority of my senators quickly and enthusiastically endorsed her. So now that the process has played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to. We see very clearly how nervous the Republicans are about our new nominee. Well, they ain't seen nothing yet. Last night, Vice President Harris secured a majority of delegates. Today, in Wisconsin and across America, we begin our next chapter, and it will be our best yet. Vice President Harris will beat Donald Trump and become the next president of the United States of America. Applause.
So without a primary process, Kamala Harris, for some reason, has won this from the grassroots, from the ground up, despite not having a single vote in a primary. But of course, all that matters to the Democrats is the delegates. You can win every single state and then not get any of its delegates, just like Bernie Sanders did. So as I mentioned at the beginning, here we have Chuck Schumer saying that, oh, everyone is ecstatic. The Democrat Party is enthused, right? It's happening. They're coming together. They're coalescing. Well, the people in power certainly are, but the Democrat voters are left out in the cold as usual. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.